Stavanger and Flom, two of the most essential ports of call on your Norwegian cruise. Join us in this video as we explore both while continuing our 7-night cruise on the Celebrity Apex. After each port day, we'll also bring you along as we continue to experience what this incredible ship has to offer. Let's go.
Hey friends, welcome back to Castles and Canals. Today we are in Stavanger, Norway.
This is our second time here, but our first time in the actual Old Town exploring. When we were here in 2023, we were at a different port, a little bit farther out of town.
Yeah, it was like an industrial port. It was very machine heavy.
Yeah.
We thought we'd start our journey today in a street called Farkagaten, which is known as the Colorful Street. Why is it known as the Colorful Street, Danny?
I don't know, you looked it up.
It's known as the Colorful Street because back in 2005, the guy that owned this hairdresser shop right back here, he thought, what's a good way to get people to come into the street and spend more money? And he's like, well, let's make it a more attractive street. And so they decided to start painting their houses, quote unquote, Miami Vice colors.
Love it.
It's
really nice. I mean, you take a turn, you know exactly where you are.
Yeah, it's immediately like, boom,
Yeah.
colorful. And it's very appropriate since it's June and it's Pride Month. We are standing in the rainbow kind of center of the street here.
We found our home.
Mo. So yeah, let's go explore some more.
Farkagaten, Colorful Street, is a few minutes walk from the harbor, and it's one of those spots that's better in person than in photos. Every building's painted a different color, so turning onto this street feels like stepping into a completely different part of town. It's short. You could walk it in 5 minutes if you weren't stopping every 10 feet for a photo. There are cafes, little shops, and galleries tucked into almost every doorway, and it's clearly not just here for the cruise crowd. People actually live and work on this street. If you've only got the one day in Stavanger, it's an easy add-on to the Old Town walk. No detour required.
All right, we're gonna go check out Valborg Tower. Apparently this thing was built in the mid-1800s as the Watchman's Tower for the city of Stavanger.
See the ship.
There's the apex. Way over there. Do you think all these cannons are to keep all the tourists away?
Sure. This is Valborg Tower, an old fire watchtower right in the middle of Stavanger. Built back in the 1850s to keep an eye out for fires across the wooden rooftops of the Old Town. It's not exactly imposing, but it's earned its spot on the skyline. The climb up is short, a few flights of stairs, nothing dramatic. But the view from the top is honestly one of the best in the city. You get the harbor, the colorful rooftops of Gamle Stavanger, and on a clear day, out toward the fjord itself. It's 40 krona to climb, a bit over 3.5 euros. Takes maybe 10 minutes round trip, and if you're walking between the harbor and the Old Town anyway, it's a small price for one of the better views in town.
They really don't want you to ring this bell, but it's just so tempting. Don't worry, I restrained myself. All right, so behind me is the Cathedral of Stavanger, which is the oldest cathedral in Norway. Obviously not churches, they had Viking churches and stave churches and things from way older, but this is the oldest cathedral. It was started built around 1100 and finished around 1150. It serves as the seat of the Bishop of Stavanger and like kind of the head of the Stavanger Church,
Diocese.
Church of Norway. It turned 900 years old last year, so it's a big birthday. Let's have a look.
This is Stavanger Cathedral, Domkirken, sitting right in the heart of the Old Town. It's 75 krona to go in, just under €7. And step inside and you can actually see the building's whole history in the architecture. Older Anglo-Norman stonework at one end and a more Gothic style further in, added after a fire for some rebuilding. One thing worth slowing down for inside is the pulpit. It's carved almost floor to ceiling, and it's not just decoration. It actually tells a story. Starting at the base of the stairs, you've got Adam and Eve. And as the carvings climb upward, they move through scenes from the life of Christ. It's basically the Bible carved in wood, one step at a time. It was finished in 1658, and it's considered one of the finest pieces of Baroque woodwork in Norway. The detail holds up even up close, which isn't always the case with carvings this old. It's a working church, not a museum, so depending on when you visit, you might catch it mid-service or being set up for one. Worth checking before you plan around it. Otherwise, it's quiet, cool inside even on a warm day, and a nice contrast after wandering the busier streets outside. It sits right in the middle of the Old Town, so there's no real detour involved. And if you've got even a passing interest in architecture or history, it's worth the price of admission for the 5 minutes inside. This is Gamla Stavanger, Old Stavanger, one of the best preserved wooden house settlements in all of Northern Europe. Around 250 houses, all painted the same crisp white, packed along narrow cobblestone lanes. Most date back to the 1700s and 1800s, originally built for fishermen and workers tied to the herring trade. Today, they're still lived in, just with a lot more flowers in the window boxes.
Norwegian printing. Oh, okay, this is it.
Yeah. As we made our way back towards the ship, we had one more stop to make. Well, actually, a 2-for-1, and a bit of an interesting choice, but stay with us. The Norwegian Print and Canning Museum turned out to be actually quite a cool museum.
Alright, so we've come to the Printing and Canning Museum. I thought this was just a canning museum, but apparently it's also a printing museum. So, about €17 a person for entrance.
The first part of the museum walks you through the history of printing in Norway, which was really fascinating. You learned about newspaper and book printing and how the media expanded in the area. This evolved into how lithography was developed and how important it was to the sardine canning industry. Once you reach the Canning Museum, you step into an actual canning factory where you are walked through the steps of the entire process, from smoking and drying the fish to constructing and packing the cans. They're hot smoked with oak.
You're right.
They're hot smoked.
All right, so we just finished up in the Printing and Canning Museum.
Yes.
Two things you wouldn't think would go together, but they do.
I mean, I saw what they were doing. They went from printing to the labels that then went on the cans. So, I mean, I saw their journey.
Yeah. I didn't realize it before walking in there, but
Oh, yeah, I'd seen it on the sign.
yeah, it's very interesting because like the printing was very important to the canning industry, and the canning industry was very important to
Stavanger.
Stavanger and Norway. But yeah, there's like a lot of important pieces of the canning industry happen here, like in terms of like machine invention, industrial revolution kind of stuff. So I think it's definitely a fun thing to do, and if you're in like history or especially like printing and stuff like that, it's quite a fun museum.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little niche for certain people, but I mean, it was cool. As Tori said, there was actually the equipment that they used was amazing, and also like that it was mainly women that were working in the actual like doing the canning of putting the sardines in, and they said at peak a woman could put the sardines in the can every 4 to 6 seconds
Fill a can.
to fill that can.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild to see how much they were doing every single day. And they were working like 12-hour days until the 8-hour workday was implemented in like 1919.
Yeah, there's a section up top talking about the unions and the working condition improvements and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But what I thought was cool too, the whole canning thing.
Yeah.
They had a table set up there inside the old factory with a bunch of empty tins and a bunch piles of like the little rubber fish. And you could sit down and you could actually try to pack them yourself to see how fast you could do it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a fun little interactive bit to it.
Yeah. It was definitely cool. I mean, worth it. It was like 340 krona
The two of us.
for the two of us, which is roughly like 16, 17 euros a person. So, I mean, I think it was nice. I mean, we were through there pretty fast,
Yeah.
but still, there's also audio if you wanted as well. But yeah, nice little piece of history. Definitely a nice little call out to the importance of freedom of speech.
Yes.
And how currently the internet can also lead to a lot of hoax. And you can imagine who was on the video. And you could just hear it throughout. It was like a little upsetting to have so much like Trump being
Yeah. You don't have to imagine. I have
broadcast.
video of it so you can see what it
so
looked like.
you can also enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting to see like Truth, where they had like Obama, and then the hoax part where they clearly were showing Trump.
Yeah. And I will say, if you're here for a short amount of time in Stavanger, this place is very convenient because let me show you. There's the ship right there. So, very easy walk up here. It's in the old town section of town. There's signs and everything, so if you're here, I think it's personally worth a visit. What do you think?
1, 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Definitely
Cool.
check it out.
All right, let's continue our adventure.
Later, back on board the ship, we were treated to a show by guest artist Will Martin. While the show had a cute gimmick with a virtual orchestra projected on the wall behind the stage, Will's singing really blew us away.
Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the theatre for showtime. Please welcome Will Martin. Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to? He says, son, can you play me a melody? tonight, 'cause we're all in the mood for a melody. You've got us feeling alright.
We also discovered the godmother of the ship is Reshma Sujani, founder of Girls Who Code. Super cool. We headed back to Eden to listen to a beautiful Adele set by Roberta the guitarist. The entertainment on this ship continues to really impress us.
Alright, so included in our all-access pass that we purchased is free room service. So normally if you do room service, it's a $12 charge to have it delivered, but because we have the pass, we get it for free. Drinks. I love my wife reminded me that drinks are not included in that. So even if you have, which comes with the package, the all-access package, the premium drinks package, drinks are not free through room service, which is a little bit of a bummer, but you know, whatever. Let's look what we got for dinner tonight. Starting with our appetizer, we got some chicken skewers with yogurt sauce. And then for my entree, I got the club sandwich with fries. Now, we were talking in our last video about the club sandwich from Craft Social. You were wondering if the room service is the same. This does not appear to be the same sandwich as the Craft Social one. The bread is different, the fries are different, a little bit different sandwich, but hopefully still good. And then for Danny's entree, she got the Caesar salad. It's a very exciting Caesar salad of romaine, croutons, and dressing. So while the room service doesn't look quite as nice as what we had at Craft Social, our view is even better. So we're going to enjoy this nice view, have some dinner, get an early night tonight because tomorrow we are arriving in Flom, Norway, nice and early, and we want to be up and ready for some fun excursions. So we'll see you in the morning. Good morning from day 4 of our cruise. Can you tell where we are?
Flom!
We're in Flom, Norway. I'll say, opening the curtain this morning with this backdrop behind us.
Gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Yeah, beautiful. Stunning.
Yeah, you don't expect it. You're like, what is this going to be? And then, holy crap. So far, it's a beautiful place. A little overcast this morning, but also very tiny. Not a lot to Flom itself.
No, but also I heard someone say that only like 300 people live here year-round or something. Interesting.
Yeah, the guy from the Port to Podium thing said that, or Podium Report, which way was it? I don't remember.
It was Beyond the Podium.
Beyond
or
the Podium, something like that. Anyway, he said that this is mainly a tourist village. That people don't really live here. It just was built for tourists.
So that makes sense.
But the major attraction in Flom, the thing people kind of clamor for, is the Flom Railway.
Mm-hmm.
It's well known. And it took a bit of work, but I managed to get us tickets on it.
Yay! Exciting.
So we're going to do, I think it's like an hour or so out, a quick break. Our port guide said something about like perhaps like a little presentation or show at one end of it.
Okay.
And then we have an hour back.
Cool.
So I'm very excited. In the meantime, there's a train museum here that's free to visit, so we might check that out. And there are several tchotchke shops with
There's a lot.
plenty of Norway souvenirs.
There are. Yeah.
So let's go have a look.
Just wanted to shout out these amazing wood carvings in front of this pub/stave church. They are beautifully done.
Wait a second. That's a Viking sandwich fighting a slice of pizza with a lightsaber and a flail. Wild.
Right at Flom Station, tucked in next to the platform, is the Flom Railway Museum. And it's free to walk through, which almost feels like it shouldn't be, given how much is packed in here. The whole museum is really one story: how on earth they built this railway in the first place. Construction started back in 1923, and it took nearly 20 years. The line didn't officially open until 1940. In that time, workers blasted 20 tunnels through solid rock to climb the mountainside. 18 of them cut entirely by hand. No machinery, just picks, drills, and an enormous amount of patience. Some sections took months of grinding, physical labor for just a few meters of progress. Inside, you'll find old photographs and film reels from the construction years, alongside actual retired train cars and equipment, including one of the original locomotives that ran this line. There's also a look at what daily life was like for the workers and their families living out here while all of this was happening. It's a small museum, so you won't need long. 20 minutes or so is plenty, but it completely changes how you see the railway once you're actually riding it. This isn't just a scenic train. It's one of the steepest railways in Europe, and every curve of the track represents someone's very hard year.
Wow, this is the Flam Railway. They really hyped it up because I thought it'd be a little bit bigger than this. So I gotta say, while it is very beautiful here, there isn't a ton to do. It is there's a lot of shops. The museum was very cute. Bigger than you think. It's like you walk into a little shop and this is museum. You see like one little back room, but then it goes way back, so there's a lot more. Including like one of the engines that they had back in the, I think it ended service in the 80s, 84, something like that. But very cool. So we're just kind of walking around now, getting a little more of view of the area. You can see behind me, there's the Apex, and way over there is a Viking ship. But like, not a Viking ship, but a Viking ship. Like the Viking cruise ship, not the Viking, sorry, somebody's yelling from Apex. That's weird. Yeah, beautiful. We got a few minutes to kill before our time for the train, so yeah, we'll see you on board. Okay, it was finally our time to board the train. When I was researching plans for this port stop, I found out that Celebrity's excursion on the train was already sold out. So then I checked the official website for the train, and it also appeared the tickets were sold out there as well. That was super disappointing, as this was something I had really wanted to do. So I kept checking back on the site every once in a while. I don't know if they hadn't released tickets yet when I originally checked, or maybe they released them in batches, but eventually I was able to book midday tickets on the train, which gave us plenty of time to make it back on the ship before the all aboard. So that's my tip for this port. If you want to do the train, book directly through the official website. It was half the price of the ship's excursion, and you get to pick your own time frame. The train station is a 5-minute walk from where the ship docks, so you really don't need any extra help or transport to get there. This was an incredibly beautiful train ride. Please enjoy the next 2.5 minutes showing just a taste of what we experienced on board. Okay, so we just finished up with the flambe way, and before we talk about that, we decided to make a little stop here. Danny, tell us what we're doing.
We are here at the Aegir Pub, we believe, Aegir. They do brew, obviously, their own beer. So I'm excited to try out a little range. So I got the beer tasting plank. You do not choose what beer is included. It is just ready to go. Clearly tell by these laminated lovely signs here to tell you about each of your beers, so I'm excited. And Tori, you got...
I got the Honey Bee, which is a honey sour. It's really good. It smells like honey. You got the sour in there, but really kind of a honey overtaste. Very good. I like this a lot.
This brewery is tucked inside a building designed after a Norse stave church and Viking longhouse. The theming carries through inside as it's fully decked out in what we are sure is authentic Viking-era decor. It's a vibe for sure. The beer is tasty, and we definitely recommend a stop in before getting back on board.
Alright, so let's talk about the Flame Railway. Now, you can sometimes book it as an excursion on the ship, or you can do it on your own. By the time I looked at it, it was already sold out on the ship, and so I was left to buy it for us on my own through the Whitlow websites. Let me tell you, the cost on the ship was twice what the tickets are when you buy them yourself. And you absolutely do not need to do it on the ship. Two reasons. One, the station is like steps from where you disembark. Like, literally like 2 or 3 minutes, you're at the gate to get on the train. Super easy, you can't get lost. And two, you absolutely do not need to. You just board the train, you ride the hour-ish up, stay on the train, ride it back. Very simple, no complicated transfers, just ride it both ways. Very easy. Do it yourself, save some money. Also, it is absolutely worth it. It is a beautiful ride. You see some amazing landscapes, sides of fjords, waterfalls, sheep, animals. It's like the thing to do. You don't want to miss it. But we were surprised that there was one thing. I don't know, maybe halfway through the trip, we saw a thing that's like, oh, here's a waterfall. We're gonna stop for a 5-minute break. You can get out and take photos. So I'm gonna let Danny tell you about that.
So we got off the train and took in the beautiful, majestic waterfall. And there was some music playing. And we weren't totally sure, at least I wasn't totally sure where it was coming from. But then as you kind of looked up towards the waterfall, about 2/3 of the way on the right side, there was actually a woman singing, and maybe not necessarily a woman, but more of a forest spirit. Her name is Huldra, and basically what she does is she lures men into the forest, kind of like a siren call, if you will. And she was up there, and she was very nimble because she was able to jump down, and then she was in another area of the mountain. It was fascinating. But yeah, so we were actually able to see her in the flesh. I can't even believe that she just happened to be there, like right when our train got there. Like, what are the odds? But anyway, I wish I could have gotten a selfie with her, but she was on her way, and I'm not her type, unfortunately.
All right, we are sailing away. Goodbye, Flom. Thank you for a most excellent day.
Michael Kaplan.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on an afternoon before you even depart. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm Michael Kaplan. I always say I've lived in 89 countries, I've been to 142, and I'm dyslexic. So I used travel as an alternative way to learn, and I wrote a book about my travels with pictures and all that. And I've been shot at and shelled at, and I climbed the Matterhorn, and I trekked the Himalayas, and I got put in jail in East Germany, and all these different adventures. And then I wrote down what I learned from each of them. And if you're interested in the book, please come up and get a card. I only have a handful left. And the Vikings, at least at the beginning, were raiders. They came and they took what they wanted and they left, which is completely different than anything before them in history. And also, we think of the Vikings as these warriors, and indeed they were, but they were also traders and farmers. A lot of times they would farm during the summer and Viking during the winter. And Viking, if you said, are you a Viking, they would not know what you're talking about. It was an adjective. It meant to go Viking, to go raiding. We've now brought it to being the people of that time from that part of the world, but they would not have understood what you're talking about.
All right, it's the end of the night. We have long since departed Flom, but we had quite a nice afternoon, I think.
Absolutely. Back on board?
Back on board, yeah.
It was great.
A couple hours in the solarium for some relaxation time, some luxuriating.
Yep.
Easy for me to say.
You did some crocheting, I did some reading, we did some whirlpooling, which is what they're calling the hot tub because it's not really like hot.
Yeah.
But still, for our old bodies, love a good hot tub. My hips are feeling much better.
Then we went down to the Martini Bar for some snacks and drinks in Phase 10.
Yeah.
Remember you guys who won?
I don't think the game actually counted because we were in international waters. So it doesn't count.
Yeah. Anyways, then we went to Eden, and let me tell you, the house band, they're called Soundtrack. So good.
Amazing. All Ella Fitzgerald songs is what we were there for.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Oh,
The whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked about it was like the crowd there was not fully into it. There was just like people just half paying attention. I'm like, folks, you have some amazing jazz here.
Yeah.
Like, be excited for the jazz. But
We might have aggressively clapped to make up for the other people.
Wherever I go, in the roaring traffic spoon, in the silence of my lonely room, I think of you night and day, night and day. Just give that rhythm everything you got, 'cause it don't mean nothing if it ain't got that same.
But yeah, both the house bands, speaking of, on this ship were quite good. New Image, which we saw after that when we went to Craft Social to have some dinner.
Yeah.
They were down in the
Grand Plaza.
Grand Plaza, playing some classics.
It was great. Loved it. Little Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Little Nicky. No, was it? I can't think. What was that?
So let's just restart.
Yeah.
Just start with the band. Start with the band.
Speaking of the house bands, both the house bands on this cruise are fantastic. So we have
great.
Soundtrack,
Yes.
and then we have New Image, who we saw earlier on the pool deck on embarkation day.
Yeah.
But they were also tonight in the Grand Plaza.
Yeah. phenomenal. So good.
Amazing. Playing some
We
classics.
we jammed to some Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Jammed. Not jamming as much as some of the people right there in front of the band. There was a woman that was really getting the crowd. She was forcing her husband to dance with her. Then they were calling up different couples to come dance. There was definitely a gay couple next to us, like, because we were up above. We were all just like, please don't make eye contact with her so that we get called down to also dance. But I mean, hey, I applaud her tenacity to get out there and just love it, because I was just chair dancing away, not actually out in front of the band.
Yeah, it's great to see folks having a good time.
Yeah. I don't know if her husband was, but he was along for the ride. He was they were the one that were like, happy wife, happy life. And I
Yes,
feel
yes.
like he was definitely like, that's my life.
But yeah, good vibes overall. So
And the paid dinner was good as well. So we did that craft and social again, where
Craft and social.
craft and social. I had the chicken Caesar salad again, and it was just as good, and it was so much better than the room service one yesterday. So once again, it was worth my $8.
Yeah, and the fish and chips also quite good. Not quite British pub good, but decent for fish and chips.
Yeah, and it was like 14,
Something like
I
that,
think,
yeah.
something like that. So not atrocious to pay for when we realized that, like, because we got on board later, we didn't eat lunch until like 2:30, 3 o'clock, which we knew was going to throw us off in terms of having options for later in terms of dining. So it was either going to be room service again, or we would pay at Craft and Social, and definitely we made the right choice.
It's craft social.
Craft Social. I was right.
You say craft and social.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway, it was great.
yes. And so that brings us to the end of our... Actually, it brings us to the halfway point of our cruise now.
Yep.
We had our first sea day. We've had our first 2 port days. What we have left now are 2 more port days and a final sea day. So this has been a great cruise so far. Really hope you've enjoyed coming along with us so far on this adventure. Our first time with Celebrity. We're going to wrap up tonight.
We have to
And-
go to bed very early. We have an early morning
Yes.
tomorrow.
So join us in our next video for our next 2 port days. The first one is Geiranger, where we are doing this epic 8-hour port excursion. So should be lots of fun. So
We just hope they have snacks.
so make sure to like and subscribe, all the things like you do. Stay connected, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.